Why self-blame isn't useful to see the truth of your relationship. When people blame themselves after a breakup, or when your partner takes space suddenly, they often imagine that what they're trying to get to when they do this is the truth. Now, maybe you're asking yourself, the truth of what exactly? The truth of how much they themselves are to blame. They dive deep into self-criticism, replaying every mistake, every conversation, every flaw, every could have done better moment. And they imagine that if they can just figure out exactly how they messed up, they can do something about it. They can fix what's wrong with themselves and ensure that this never, ever, ever happens again. But here's where that kind of thinking can get you in trouble. Hi, it's Katya Morozova, attachment coach who's supporting you on your journey towards secure and lasting relationships. When self-blame becomes too painful, too heavy to bear, which is pretty fast, we often swing to the opposite extreme. We blame our partner. It's like an escape route our mind creates when the weight of self-blame becomes unbearable. And then we say things like, well, maybe it wasn't my fault. They weren't exactly fair to me. Or if they hadn't left so suddenly, maybe I wouldn't be feeling this way in the first place. Maybe they're the ones who messed up what we had. And along with this thought process starts to bubble up a lot of anger and resentment. And so we end up in this loop, going back and forth between these two very limited, and I could say black and white options, because blaming yourself ultimately feels bad and makes you angry because you know that it's not entirely fair to yourself. And swinging to blaming your partner ultimately feels bad also because it feels like it conflicts with the love that you had for this person and that you still likely have. Can you relate to what I'm sharing? If you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more relatable content like this. But why? Why can't you clearly lay out responsibility into a neat little box and assess the proper amount of blame on each of you? Like you might dole out, I don't know, roles and responsibilities at a job? Seems pretty logical, right? Well, because our psychology and our attachment system distorts the appropriate roles and responsibilities in this situation. Because it's incredibly difficult to see things clearly when we're feeling this amount of emotion. And this is where we want to get something clear. Blame is not a primary emotion. The word blame is a verb, to blame. So think of blame as a behavior or an action rather than emotion. So then we want to start to consider, what is it that we're actually acting on, or at least attempting to act on? Well, what lies beneath blame is a complex web of primary emotions: fear about the future, hurt about the past, and profound grief that you're likely feeling in the present. And when we're stuck in self-blame, we're often desperately trying to make sense of this immense amount of pain. And we're trying to take control over a painful situation. It's like we believe that if we can just figure out exactly what we did wrong, we can protect ourselves from ever feeling this way again. So it's a bit of a shortcut or a hack that our brain is trying on in order to navigate us through this breakup. But really what's happening is there's a blind spot here in how we are approaching our own pain. But of course, relationships don't work like mathematical equations. They're more like complex patterns of interaction where each person's actions and reactions influence the others in really subtle ways that can be hard to, one, see in the moment when they're happening, because they're usually a blind spot, and two, to try to untangle on your own after the fact when you don't have that person to talk to. So here are some helpful questions that you can start asking yourself instead of what did I do wrong and what's wrong with me. As you can tell, that question just plunges you back into that very uncomfortable loop, and round you go. So you can ask yourself, what patterns emerged in our relationship that were counterproductive? This is a much more objective way to approach the things that maybe didn't go so great in your relationship. Or what ways did each of us feed into those patterns unconsciously that now I can see that was a blind spot for me before? Or how can I make peace with what I didn't know was happening in our collective unconscious at the time? Yes, I'm talking about the collective unconscious between you and your ex-partner, because that is what we all share in relationships. Or what needs wasn't I aware of, both mine and theirs, that I'm aware of now? See, the truth about relationships isn't found in assigning blame. It's really found in understanding the objective dynamic that you both created together, which is challenging to do when you're in a heightened state of emotion. And this doesn't mean that you are going to be ignoring your problems, genuine problems, or accepting mistreatment. Instead, it means approaching your relationship history with curiosity rather than judgment. When you're caught in self-blame, you're actually looking at an old wound through a fresh lens. How you treat yourself right now in this really vulnerable moment, no matter how it happened or how you got here, will shape how much compassion you bring to your future relationships. And yes, even to yourself in a future relationship. And if you're ready to move beyond blame and dig into what this relationship and what you're feeling right now has to offer you and your growth, then I'd love to help, and one-on-one coaching may be a really good fit for you. What we can do is untangle these patterns and help you emerge stronger and more whole than before. This isn't just about recovering a breakup, although that's really important. This is about creating a more holistic and secure version of yourself. So you can explore coaching in a couple of different ways. If you've been watching my videos for a while, or maybe you're new to my channel and you just feel so inspired and you'd like to explore a dedicated coaching relationship to navigate these challenges, then you can fill out the coaching application that's going to be in the description below this video and book a complimentary consultation so we can get to know each other and create a framework for how we might work together. Or if you'd like to try a one-on-one session together, you can book that using my calendar on my website. Did you like this video? If you did, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe to watch more content that's going to support you to recover from your breakup. Next up is my video on the dismissive avoidant and how their coldness can deeply affect your psychology. So definitely check that out next. It's a pretty popular video and I get a lot of really nice comments on it. It's going to be right up here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.